The remote slipped from my trembling fingers into Jordan's palm, and in that split second, the air in his corner office thickened like the storm clouds rolling over Seattle's Puget Sound. I had meant to hand him the presentation clicker for our late-night pitch rehearsal, but instead, I passed him the one from my apartment, the one that unlocked not just my TV, but the hidden folder of videos I'd buried deep in shame and solitude. His eyes, those piercing hazel depths that could command a boardroom or unravel a soul, flicked down to the device, and then back to me, a slow, knowing smile curling his lips that made my heart slam against my ribs like a trapped bird. "Alex," he murmured, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through the mahogany desk between us. "This isn't the tool for closing deals." He pressed a button, and my laptop on the desk flickered to life unbidden, the screen blooming with thumbnails I never meant for daylight. Stolen glances from coffee runs, blurred shots of his laugh in the break room, fragments of a crush I'd nursed in silence for months. My breath caught, a gasp that echoed too loud in the rain-lashed silence, as Jordan's gaze held mine, not with judgment, but with a hunger that mirrored the ache I'd hidden behind every professional nod and averted stare. I backed up a step, my heel catching on the edge of a Persian rug that Jordan had imported from a trip to Morocco years ago, a detail I'd memorized from his casual stories over lukewarm office brews. The city lights blurred through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting elongated shadows that danced like accusations across the walls lined with awards for campaigns that had made him a legend in Seattle's tech scene. Jordan Hale wasn't just my boss. He was the architect of dreams at Hale Innovations, a firm that turned startups into empires with the flick of a well-timed ad. At 35, he carried the weight of that success in the subtle lines around his eyes, the confident tilt of his broad shoulders beneath tailored suits that hugged his athletic frame like a second skin. And me, Alex Rivera, 26, fresh out of design school in Portland, a kid from a sprawling Mexican-American family in Tacoma who had clawed his way into this glass tower on sheer grit and a portfolio of urban sketches that caught his eye during my interview. It had lingered then, too, as I fumbled through my slides, making my cheeks burn under the fluorescent hum. I chalked it up to nerves, to the power imbalance of an entry-level designer facing the man who signed my paychecks. But now, with the remote still warm in his grip and my secrets splayed across the screen like spilled guts, there was no mistaking the spark. He set the device down deliberately, the click echoing like a gavel, and rose from his leather chair, closing the distance in 2 strides that ate up the space between us. The scent of his cologne, sandalwood and citrus, sharp as his whip, washed over me, mingling with the ozone tang of the storm outside. "Jordan, it's not what it looks like," I stammered, my voice cracking like a teenager's. Even though I'd prided myself on the cool facade I'd built brick by brick since coming out to my family 2 years back, they had embraced me with tamales and tears, but here, in this world of mergers and metrics, vulnerability felt like a liability. He stopped inches away, close enough that I could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow from a college lacrosse mishap he'd once joked about during a team-building hike in the Olympics. His hand lifted, not to strike or dismiss, but to cup my jaw with a gentleness that belied the authority in his frame, thumb brushing my lower lip in a touch that sent fire racing down my spine. "It's exactly what it looks like," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. "And I've been waiting for you to see it too." Before I could process the words, his lips claimed mine. Not tentative, but fierce, a kiss born of pent-up storms that poured out the longing we'd both danced around in stolen glances across conference tables. My hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer as the world narrowed to the taste of him, coffee and mint and something uniquely Jordan, while thunder rumbled approval outside. When we broke apart, gasping, his forehead pressed to mine, eyes dark with a vulnerability I'd never imagined in the man who bent markets to his will. But ecstasy crashed against reality's shore like waves on Alki Beach. "What if someone walks in?" I hissed, glancing at the glass door, heart pounding not just from desire but from the terror of exposure. Jordan chuckled, a low sound that vibrated through my chest, and stepped back just enough to retrieve something from his desk drawer. A slim, velvet box that he pressed into my palm. My fingers closed around it instinctively, the weight unfamiliar, and when I flipped it open, a silver key glinted under the desk lamp, etched with coordinates that pointed to a cabin in the Cascades, a place he'd mentioned once in passing as his escape from the city's grind. "This," he said, voice steady but laced with the raw edge of confession, "is what I hand back. Not rejection, Alex. Invitation. Come with me this weekend. No remotes, no screens. Just us, figuring out if this fire we've ignited can burn without burning us down." I stared at the key, my mind reeling from the kiss, the exposure, the audacity of it all. In that moment, with rain sheeting the windows and the office empty save for our ragged breaths, I felt the first crack in the armor I'd worn since landing this job. the fear that loving a man like Jordan, in a world that still whispered about power and propriety, could cost me everything I'd built. Yet as I nodded, slipping the key into my pocket like a talisman, a thrill coursed through me fiercer than any deadline rush. This wasn't just a mistake corrected. It was a door flung wide to a life I'd only dreamed of in the quiet hours after midnight sketches. Jordan pulled me into another embrace, his arms a fortress against the doubts whispering at the edges, and for the first time, I let myself believe that vulnerability might be the strongest design of all. The rest of the week blurred into a haze of stolen moments and heightened senses. Every email from Jordan carried a double meaning. Every brush of hands in the hallway, a spark that threatened to ignite the dry tinder of office gossip. I threw myself into finalizing the pitch deck for our biggest client, a sustainable energy startup poised to revolutionize wind farms off the Washington coast. My designs weaving vibrant greens and blues that echoed the Salish Sea's call. Colleagues noticed my edge, attributing it to the looming deadline, but Mia, my sharp-witted coworker from the analytics team, shot me sidelong glances over her matcha lattes, her Korean-American pragmatism sensing the shift like a seismograph. "Spill, Rivera," she cornered me Friday afternoon in the kitchenette, her bob haircut swinging as she stirred her drink. "You've been floating on clouds all week. New girl? Or?" She trailed off, eyebrow arched, her own journey through coming out in a conservative family making her the unofficial confidant for the firm's quiet queers. I hesitated, the key burning a hole in my pocket, then whispered the barest outline. The remote, the kiss, the invitation. Her eyes widened, then softened with a mix of envy and caution. "Jordan Hale? Damn, Alex, that's playing with fire in a powder keg. But if anyone's worth the blaze." She squeezed my arm, her voice dropping to a fierce whisper. "Just promise me you'll protect your heart. This city's progressive on paper, but boardrooms? They're still old boys clubs with rainbow flags as afterthoughts." Her words lingered as I packed up that evening, the office emptying into the weekend exodus toward ferries and family barbecues. Jordan's text buzzed my phone. "Cabin stocked. Drive safe. Can't wait to see you unravel." My pulse quickened, a flush creeping up my neck as I navigated the slick I-5 toward the foothills. The Volvo he'd lent me from the company fleet humming beneath me like a conspirator. The Cascades rose like jagged sentinels, evergreens cloaked in mist, and with each mile, the city's scrutiny faded, replaced by the wild pulse of possibility. I arrived as dusk painted the sky in bruised purples, the cabin a cozy A-frame nestled by a burbling creek, its windows glowing with the promise of hearth and home. Jordan met me at the door, sleeves rolled up on a flannel that accentuated his forearms, a bottle of Pinot Noir in hand. No suits, no screens. Just him, barefoot on the pine porch, pulling me inside with a kiss that tasted of freedom. We talked for hours by the stone fireplace, flames crackling like confessions. He shared fragments of his past, a closeted college romance shattered by family expectations, the rise through corporate ranks armored in straight-laced precision. "I built walls higher than these mountains," he admitted, tracing patterns on my knee. "But you slipped through the cracks with that damn portfolio." In turn, I unburdened the weight of my family's fierce love clashing with my fear of fading into their expectations, the late nights questioning if ambition meant loneliness. Laughter wove through the vulnerability, his stories of botched client dinners drawing parallels to my own disastrous attempts at dating apps that ghosted faster than Seattle fog. As night deepened, bodies entwined on the wool rug, we explored each other with the reverence of rediscovery, touches mapping territories long denied. It was messy, fervent, a symphony of gasps and whispers that drowned out the wind's howl, affirming that desire, when mutual, was the ultimate equalizer. But dawn brought shadows. Saturday morning, over eggs scrambled with herbs from his windowsill garden, Jordan's phone shattered the idyll. A urgent call from the office. The client had pulled back, spooked by a competitor's smear, and the pitch was teetering. "I have to go back," he said, jaw tight, the weight of empire reclaiming him. Disappointment knifed through me, sharp as the chill seeping from the creek, but I masked it with a nod. "Then let's make this count," I replied, pulling him back to bed for a hurried, heartbreaking interlude that blurred grief and gratitude. We drove back in convoy, the cabin shrinking in the rearview like a dream deferred. By Monday, the office buzzed with crisis mode. My designs rushed into overdrive while Jordan orchestrated salvos from his glass eyrie. Stolen glances across the bullpen sustained me, but tension coiled tighter with each passing hour. Whispers started. Had I seen the way Hale lingered by Rivera's desk? Mia's warnings echoed as I overheard snippets in the elevator, eyes darting like accusations. The climax hit Wednesday, mid-pitch in the boardroom overlooking Elliott Bay. I unveiled the revised deck, projections soaring like gulls on thermals, But as Jordan stepped up to seal it, his hand brushed mine under the table. A subtle anchor that steadied us both. The clients bought in, applause rippling like relief, but victory soured when Victor Lang, the firm's silver-haired CFO and Jordan's old mentor, pulled him aside post-meeting. I caught fragments through the half-open door. "Careless Jordan. Rumors could tank us. He's talented, but..." The words landed like blows, igniting a fury I'd bottled since the remote's betrayal. That night, I confronted Jordan in his office, the city a glittering indictment below. "Is this worth it?" I demanded, voice raw. "Me, us. Against the machine you helped build?" He paced, torment etching his features, then stopped, cupping my face with hands that trembled for the first time. "You're not against it, Alex. You're the reason I want to rebuild it better." Tears stung as he vowed changes, diversity training, ally networks, not as gestures but as justice. We made love on the desk that night, amid scattered contracts, a defiant reclaiming that whispered of futures forged, not found. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of quiet rebellion. Jordan championed my promotion to lead designer, framing it as merit, though we both knew the undercurrent. Mia became our fierce guardian, deflecting gossip with wit sharper than her data models. Family dinners introduced Jordan as the boss who's more. My mother's knowing smile over Pozole sealing tentative approval. Yet doubt lingered, a specter in quiet moments. Would the world bend or break us? The turning point came at the annual gala, a glittering affair at the Space Needle where Hale Innovations toasted its triumphs. I stood in a slim black tux, nerves jangling like wind chimes, Jordan resplendent in midnight blue, his hand at my elbow a public claim. As speeches droned, he pulled me aside to the observation deck, the city sprawling like a promise below. "I handed you a key once," he said, voice thick. "But tonight, I'm handing you my heart. Marry me, Alex. Let's build something unbreakable." Kneeling there, ring glinting like a captured star, he bared the soul behind the suits, the boy who'd hidden, the man who'd learned to stand. Tears blurred the skyline as I whispered yes, our kiss sealing vows amid the stars. Back inside, hand in hand, we faced the room, applause mingling shock and support. Victor's nod a grudging olive branch. In the end, it wasn't the remote that changed everything, but the hand that reached back, not to correct, but to connect. We married in the Cascades that summer, family and friends toasting under evergreens, a tapestry of cultures and loves woven tight. Jordan stepped back from the CEO grind, mentoring the next wave, while I designed campaigns that championed voices long silenced. Breathless still, yes, but no longer trembling in fear. Only in the profound joy of a love that dared, endured, and illuminated. The months following our engagement unfolded like a sketch coming to life on my drafting table. Vibrant, unexpected, laced with the thrill of lines that intersected in ways I'd never dared imagine. Jordan and I navigated the wedding planning with the same intensity we brought to boardroom battles, but softer, infused with laughter that bubbled up over venue scoutings in the San Juan Islands. My family, ever the heart of my world, descended upon us with recipes scribbled on faded note cards and stories of abuelas who had loved fiercely across borders. Jordan's parents, more reserved in their East Coast polish, warmed slowly. His mother's embrace at our first joint dinner carrying the weight of apologies unspoken for years of distance. Yet beneath the joy, fissures ran deep as the faults beneath the Olympics. Office dynamics shifted like tectonic plates. Colleagues who once clapped me on the back now measured their smiles, whispers trailing us like exhaust fumes on rainy commutes. Victor Lang, ever the sentinel of tradition, escalated his subtle campaigns, assigning me grunt work that undercut my promotion, his emails laced with concerns about distractions. Jordan shielded me, his authority a bulwark, but I saw the toll in the shadows under his eyes, the way he'd linger over strategy sessions until dawn, fighting not just for the firm but for the precedent our union set. One evening, as autumn leaves turned the arboretum paths to fire, we walked hand in hand, the crunch underfoot a counterpoint to our silence. "I won't let him break this," Jordan vowed, squeezing my fingers, but doubt gnawed at me like damp rot in old beams. That night, insomnia drove me to my sketchpad, lines flowing into a concept for a new campaign. Bridges over faults, visuals of diverse hands linking across divides, tagline whispering of resilience. I showed it to Jordan at breakfast, his pride lighting his face like sunrise over the sound. "This is you, Alex," turning cracks into connections. Emboldened, I pitched it at the next team huddle, voice steady despite the room's undercurrent hum. Mia backed me with stats on inclusive branding boosting loyalty 20%, her grin a lifeline. Even Victor paused, his grunt almost approval, though his eyes narrowed on Jordan's subtle nod. The project greenlit, momentum built. A series of ads featuring real couples from Seattle's Tapestry, queer and straight, immigrant and native. Their stories raw threads in a narrative of unity. Filming days became our rebellion. Jordan directing with a passion that reignited his early ad days. Me capturing essences in frames that breathed. But Victor struck back during a late screening. As reels played in the dim conference room, he cornered me by the projector. Talented, Rivera, but naive. Hale's blind spot for you could cost us sponsors. Conservative ones who fund half our green initiatives. His words slithered, invoking board pressures, veiled threats of restructuring. Heart hammering, I fired back. Talent isn't a blind spot. It's the future. Ignore it, and you're the one obsolete. He chuckled, cold as Cascade snow, but retreated, the exchange a gauntlet thrown. The fallout rippled home. Jordan paced our Capitol Hill apartment, overlooking the vibrant mosaic of pride flags still fluttering from summer, his frustration boiling over. I built this firm on merit, not malice. If he pushes, I'll push back. Hard. We argued then. First real fracture, my fear clashing with his protectiveness. Don't martyr us for principle, I pleaded, tears hot. I love you too much to watch it crumble. He pulled me close, apologies murmured into my hair. Our makeup slow and reaffirming, bodies reminding hearts of truths words fumbled. Resolution brewed in unlikely alliance. Mia, ever the strategist, unearthed emails. Victor's cozy lunches with rival firms. Whispers of poaching talent to undermine Jordan. Armed with printouts, we confronted the board in a closed session. Jordan's presentation a masterclass in calm fury. Weaving data with our story. A firm stronger for its loves, not weakened. Victor's bluster faltered under scrutiny. His resignation tendered by week's end. A quiet exit padded with severance to salve egos. With space to breathe, our wedding crystallized. Vows exchanged under a canopy of madronas in Friday Harbor. The seas murmur our witness. Guests a kaleidoscope. My cousins dancing salsa with Jordan's lacrosse buddies. Toasts blending Spanglish and Ivy quips. That night, on a ferry gliding toward home, stars wheeling above, Jordan whispered dreams of adoption, of little feet pattering in a home we designed together. Perhaps a fixer-upper in Fremont, walls alive with murals of our journey. Life post-Victor hummed with purpose. The Bridges campaign launched to acclaim, features an adage hailing its authenticity, client influx validating our stand. Jordan mentored young execs, prioritizing work-life weaves that echoed our balance, while I freelanced bolder, galleries snapping up prints that captured queer joy in urban grit. Challenges lingered, tax filings tangled in legal gray, family holidays navigating cultural quilts, but each hurdle stitched us tighter, a testament to love's labor. One crisp December eve, as snow dusted the market stalls, we wandered hand in hand, sampling smoked salmon and cider, laughter light. A street violinist played a haunting rendition of Hallelujah, notes weaving through the chill, and Jordan drew me into a slow sway, uncaring of stares. From wrong remotes to right everything, he murmured, eyes shining. Breathless, yes. Trembling with the beauty of it all, the humanistic truth that love, in its defiant bloom, redeems the world's fractures, one vulnerable hand at a time. Spring unfurled in Seattle like a long-held breath released, cherry blossoms carpeting the U-District paths in pink confetti, mirroring the effervescent lightness that settled over our lives. Jordan and I had settled into the Fremont Victorian we'd snapped up, a creaky charmer with turret views of the ship canal, where I painted murals of intertwined skylines and he hung framed bridges, stills like badges of battles won. Mornings began with coffee on the Widow's Walk, his arm around my waist as we plotted the day, the city's hum a distant lullaby. Work thrived in tandem. Hale innovations bloomed under Jordan's refined vision, quarterly reports glowing with diversity metrics that drew talent from coasts and countries. I led a creative pod now, Mia at my side, our duo brainstorming over faux lunches that stretched into afternoons of wild ideas. One pitch, a VR experience immersing users in immigrant stories through Seattle's lens, netted us a Guggenheim grant, validation that art could bridge more than ads. Yet success's shadow loomed. Paparazzi flashes at industry galas, headlines in queer mags speculating on power couple goals, turning our private joy into public fodder. The intrusion peaked at Pride that June, rainbow thoroughfares thrumming with bass and belonging. We marched arm in arm, Jordan's custom vest embroidered with our wedding date, my sign reading "Love logs the miles." A nod to his lacrosse grit. Cheers swelled, but so did the undercurrent. A heckler shouting slurs from the Pike Place fringes, his venom a sour note in the symphony. Jordan tensed, ready to charge, but I held him back, whispering, "We're the bridge, remember? Don't let hate burn it." Later, over rooftop tacos at a friend's loft, we decompressed, his head on my shoulder as fireworks bloomed over the sound. A reminder that visibility's price was vigilance, but worth every glare. Home beckoned as our sanctuary, renovations underway with my parents' help. My dad tiling the kitchen backsplash in terracotta waves, Mom infusing curtains with embroidered chilies, Jordan dove too, his toolkit yielding to their wisdom, laughter echoing as he mangled Spanish phrases over Abuelita's pozole. These moments grounded us, weaving family into the firmament we'd built. But whispers of expansion tugged, Jordan fielding offers from Silicon Valley VCs, tempting with equity that could fund dreams like the scholarship we'd endow for queer artists from underserved hoods. Doubt crept in during a solo hike up Rattlesnake Ledge, the trail's switchbacks mirroring my mind's loops. What if growth meant goodbye to Seattle's soul, the rain-kissed rhythms that cradled us? I voiced it that night over candlelit salmon at Ray's boathouse, waves lapping the pilings below. Jordan listened, fork paused, then set it down, his hand covering mine. Roots don't have to mean stagnation, amor. We could lead from here, remote pods, community hubs. You're my compass. Point the way. His vulnerability, rare as summer sun, melted my fears. Our walk home along Golden Gardens a reaffirmation. Toes in sand, promises renewed under the moon's benevolent gaze. Summer's heat wave tested us next. A brutal scorcher that turned the office into a sweatbox and tempers to tinder. A major client, a eco-fashion line, bailed mid-campaign, citing creative misalignment. But rumors swirled of their CEO's homophobia, spooked by our profile. Jordan absorbed the hit, nights blurring into damage control, his absence a hollow in our bed. I rallied the team, salvaging assets into a pivot pitch for local nonprofits. But resentment simmered. Why should our love bear the brunt? Confrontation brewed over a stormy dinner at our place, thunder rattling the turret panes. This isn't sustainable, I said, voice cracking over reheated burritos. Your fire's consuming you, and us. He deflated, shoulders slumping like a felled cedar. I know, but walking away feels like failure. Tears mingled with rain on the window as I pulled him close. Failure's letting fear dictate. We're stronger together. Delegate, damn it. That raw honesty birthed change. Jordan hired a COO, a no-nonsense Latina from Portland with a track record in scaling sustainably, freeing him to co-lead creatives with me. Fall brought harvest, literal and figurative. We volunteered at a South Park community garden, hands in soil with immigrant families, planting rows that echoed our Bridges ethos. Jordan's ease with the kids, teaching knots for trellises, his laugh booming, stirred yearnings deeper. Adoption talks turned serious, paperwork stacking on the kitchen island amid blueprints for a nursery. My family's excitement fueled us, TIAs knitting booties, uncles grilling tips on fatherhood from their own journeys. Yet winter's chill carried a curveball. During a routine checkup, Jordan's doc flagged elevated stress markers, echoes of his Prius grind. Slow down, the prescription read, simple as it stung. We retreated to the cabin for New Year's, snow blanketing the world in hush. Fireplace vigils yielded truths. His fear of irrelevance, my guilt over disrupting his path. Resolutions forged in that glow, weekly unplug rituals, therapy sessions unpacking closets long cracked open. By spring's return, equilibrium bloomed. The CO's steady hand steadied the firm, our joint TEDx talk on love as innovation rippling waves in queer circles. Personally, home expanded, a crib assembled with Dad's hammer, names shortlisted like treasures. One eve, as dusk gilded the canal, Jordan knelt again. Not with ring, but ultrasound printout, a surprise consult yielding hope. Our bridge extends, he grinned, tears salting joy. Through it all, that remote's echo lingered, a catalyst for courage, reminding that mistakes, handed right, birth miracles. Our story, etched in promotions and pregnancies, affirmed love's alchemy, turning trembles to triumphs, one breathless step at a time. The adoption process unfolded like a meticulously layered design brief, promising yet precarious, each form and home visit a brushstroke toward our envisioned family portrait. Jordan and I pored over profiles in the evenings, the Fremont turret our war room, lamplight casting warm halos on pages of hopeful faces. We settled on open adoption, craving connections over clean breaks, a choice that mirrored our own blended worlds. Agency counselors praised our stability. Steady jobs, spacious home, unyielding commitment. But bureaucracies grind war grooves, interviews probing scars from our pasts like fault lines. Jordan's vulnerability surfaced most there, recounting his closeted youth in a Boston suburb where lacrosse fields masked midnight tears. I won't let history haunt our kid, he vowed, hand over mine during a role-play session. His resolve a balm to my own echoes of Tacoma Taunt's post coming out. My family's involvement sweetened the wait, Mom hosting prep picnics in Discovery Park, grilling veggies while dispensing wisdom on unconditional love, her eyes misty with pride for the son who'd built such a hearth. Professionally, synergy soared. Our creative collab birthed Roots and Routes, a series spotlighting queer families' migrations, visuals pulsing with Seattle's pulse, ferry wakes, market bustle, mountain silhouettes. It clinched a Clio Award, gold gleaming on our mantle beside wedding photos, but acclaim amplified scrutiny. A podcaster cornered Jordan at an after-party. How's domestic bliss with the junior designer? Power play or true love? The barb landed sly, but he parried with grace, later venting in our car, knuckles white on the wheel. They're hunting cracks, he growled. I leaned over, kissing his temple. Then we seal them with truth. Summer's swell brought breakthrough. A match. Little Sophia, 3, with wide eyes like polished onyx and curls that defied gravity. Her file a litany of foster shuffles from Texas borders to Washington rains. Birth mom's letter, penned in looping script, sought guardians who dance in storms. Our first visit at the agency playground, her tiny hands slipping into Jordan's as they chased bubbles, sealed it. Home studies flew, courts convened. Excitement crackled like static before a squall. But joy's underbelly stirred. Sophia's arrival unearthed my insecurities. Nights pacing with her colic cries, Jordan's exhaustion mirroring mine, arguments flaring over division of diapering and deadlines. One dawn, as milk bottles clinked in the sink, I snapped, "You're the natural. I'm just fumbling." He turned, flour dusted from pancake attempts, pulling me into flowery embrace. "We're both learning, Alex. That's the dance." Therapy helped, sessions unpacking parental phantoms, his absent dad, my overprotective clan, turning tandem stumbles into synchronized steps. Sophia's integration wove magic. Family christened her Princita. Weekends at Alki Beach building sandcastles crowned with seashells, her giggles a symphony drowning doubts. Jordan's lacrosse tales evolved to bedtime yarns of brave explorers, while I sketched her portraits, capturing dimpled mischief in charcoal strokes. Work adapted too, flex hours, remote Fridays, the COO's nod easing guilt. Mia became godaunt, spoiling with onesies emblazoned, future CEO. Autumn's palette framed our first gotcha day, a low-key park picnic under flaming maples. Sophia, now toddling with purpose, smashed cake on our cheeks, her mom's video call beaming approval from afar. Toasts circled, dad's rumble on legacies, mom's tears on circles completed, cementing our mosaic. Yet expansion's siren sang anew, a Bay Area accelerator inviting Jordan to consult, promising networks for Sophia's future. Visit first, I urged, masking unease, but the trip unearthed old rifts. Late calls, distracted returns, my solo nights with Sophia a poignant preview of fractures. Confrontation brewed over Thanksgiving remnants, turkey carcass picked clean as our words. "I need you here," I said, voice small amid the clutter. "Building empires can't eclipse this." He knelt by my chair, Sophia napping nearby, his apology a vow. "You're my empire, both of you. No more chasing ghosts." Compromise crystallized, a hybrid role, quarterly sprints south, roots anchored north, trust rebuilt, brick by loving brick. Winter holidays amplified warmth. Hanukkah candles flickered alongside luminarias, Sophia's chubby fingers lighting both, Jordan's kin joining via Zoom from Beacon Hill stoops. New Year's Eve, we bundled her for a midnight stroll along the locks, salmon leaping silver under floodlights. Resolutions whispered. More presence, deeper dives into each other's worlds. His strategy novels for me, my poetry slams for him. Spring heralded harmony. Sophia's preschool enrollment, a co-op in Wallingford teeming with rainbow flags, marked milestones. Finger paints smeared on fridges, playdates forging mom networks that bolstered mine. Our talk at a queer parents mixer sparked a podcast, Family Fault Lines, sharing navigations of love's landscapes. Listeners flooded inboxes with thanks, echoes of our remote-born revelation. Errors as entryways to empathy. One balmy eve, as Sophia chased fireflies in our backyard swing, Jordan wrapped arms around me from behind, chin on shoulder. "From breathless blunder to this bounty," he murmured, her laughter our underscore. Trembling? Only in gratitude, for the hand that reached back, transforming mishap to masterpiece. A life's worth of meaning in every shared dawn. Sophia's world expanded like a canvas stretched taut, colors bleeding into corners we'd left blank. At 4, her questions peppered days. "Why rainbows on flags, Papa?" Prompting bedtime dissections of pride's palette, Jordan's tales of marches mingling with my sketches of marchers' faces. We enrolled her in bilingual classes, Spanish trills from my lullabies blending with his English epics, a linguistic bridge mirroring our own. Yet parenting's poetry hid prose of peril. A fever that felled her one February. ER lights harsh as our fears. Jordan's hand in mine a lifeline through the vigil. Recovery rallied us, but work's whirlwind whipped harder. The podcast gained traction, sponsors lining up for fault lines, but demands dice time, recording sessions clashing with Sophia's recitals, Jordan's travel spiking despite vows. Resentment simmered, unspoken until a missed pickup. Me stranded at daycare with a wailing charge. His flight delay the culprit. Homecoming erupted. Promises are paper if you shred them with schedules. I hurled, pots clanging like cymbals. He recoiled, then advanced, voice breaking. I'm terrified of failing you both, like I failed myself once. Collapse into couch, sobs sinking, rebuilt resolve. Calendars color-coded, nannies networked, date nights decreed. Summer solstice brought balm. A road trip up the Olympic Peninsula. Camper crammed with crayons and coolers, Sophia's adventures etching memories. Clamming at Dosualips, her bucket brimming with bivalves, Jordan's whoops echoing tide pools. Evenings by campfires, Esmore's stickiest stories, we unpacked pressures. His imposter echoes in boardrooms, my artist's angst over commercial compromises. Laughter laced the logs, Sophia's somersaults into our laps a reset button. Back in the fray, synergy struck gold. Fault lines inspired a firm initiative mentorship for LGBTQ plus youth in arts and biz. Sophia's daycare a pilot site with rainbow murals I led. Jordan keynote the launch, his speech a love letter to lineages. From hidden hurts to handholds, we heal by holding on. Applause thundered, Victor's successor. A trans ally from Vancouver. Clapping loudest, our past purged in progress. Fall's foliage framed family firsts. Sophia's preschool play, her tree sprite twirling in tulle, Jordan's camcorder capturing every pirouette. My solo exhibit at SAM, intimate interfaces, debuted, canvases of hands in myriad hues, remotes reimagined as relics of revelation. Opening night, Jordan's arm my anchor amid critics' swirl, Sophia's fingerpaint masterpiece on display beside mine, a tiny testament to legacy. But winter's wind whistled warnings. Jordan's COO decamped to startups, vacancy yawning like a chasm. Offers flooded New York's dazzle, Austin's allure, each a siren to his ambition. Sleepless nights debated over mulled wine, Sophia's snores our soundtrack. We could thrive anywhere, he tempted, visions of Central Park jaunts dancing. I countered with Seattle's soul, our grafted graphs, the garden's ghosts we'd tend. Stalemate stretched, tension taut as bowstrings. Crisis crested at a holiday mixer, eggnog flowing. When a tipsy exec slurred, hails soft on family. Slipping, ain't he? Ears burning, I excused to the balcony. City lights mocking our moat. Jordan followed, coat draped over my shoulders. He's wrong, he insisted, but doubt's dagger twisted. Had our love lulled him to languor? Confession cascaded. My fear of uprooting Sophia's sapling roots, his ache for unchallenged peaks. Dawn's decision. Stay, but scale. Promoting internals, incubating ventures locally. Jordan co-founding a queer-led accelerator in Pioneer Square. Spring's thaw mirrored mending. Sophia's 5th birthday, a zoo bash with alpaca selfies, ballooned with beloveds, family fusing feasts of flan and fudge. Works we've tightened. My pod prototyped accelerator apps, Jordan's guidance grounding gadgets in grace. Podcast episodes evolved, guests sharing seismic shifts, adoptions abroad, transitions triumphant, each amplifying our anthem of authenticity. One lilac-scented afternoon, picnicking at Green Lake, Sophia splashed in shallows, her why not? Queries on love's shapes sparking a book idea. Hand-me-hands, illustrated tales of connections quirky and queer. Jordan's nod ignited collaboration. Outlines sketched on napkins, publisher peaks promising pages turned. As summer beckoned, balance bloomed. Therapy check-ins, monthly remote resets. Revisiting that fateful device, now a mantle relic, kept us keen. Sophia's school show and tell featured it. Papa's magic clicker started our story. Class giggles gifted perspective, innocence as instructor. In quiet codas, Jordan's whisper wove wonder. Your hand in mine, trembling no more, our greatest design. Breath caught, heart full. I traced his palm's lines, seeing futures forked yet fused. A narrative where love's logic defies odds, crafting meaning from every mishandled moment. Sophia's kindergarten odyssey launched with lunchbox fanfare. Apple slices artfully arranged as boats on hummus seas, her backpack bulging with crayons and courage. Drop-off tears mine. Not hers, Jordan's arm steering me away as she waved from the rainbow crosswalk. She's our brave, he murmured. But the empty nest echo lingered. Afternoons stretching like unfilled frames. We channeled it into the book, Hand Me Hands. Manuscripts multiplying amid playdates and plot twists. Sophia beta testing with bedtime readings. Her edits earnest. More sparkles on the kiss. Fall's fervor-fueled finishes. Cover art a collage of palms in prism. Publishers contract a coup with foreword from a trans icon. Launch loomed in November. Buzz building via bookstore brunches. But pre-publication jitters jittered Jordan. What if it flops? Exposes our seams. Doubts danced in his denials. Echoes of early ad anxieties. I countered with cave sketches. Rough drafts redeemed by revisions. Reminding, our story's strength is in the stitches. Co-signing soothed. Launch a literary love fest at Elliott Bay Books. Sophia signing stock with squiggly SS. Fans queuing for quotes that quoted our core. Vulnerability as victory. Winter wove wonders. Holidays harmonized. Kwanzaa Kinara candles kin to Christmas lights. Sophia's menorah mishaps melting into mirth. Travel tempered. A DC jaunt for policy pushes on queer family rights. Jordan testifying with tenacity. Me moderating panels on creative advocacy. Sophia stayed with grandparents, her video dispatches, snowman selfies from Tacoma, bridging miles. Returns reunion, airport dash into hugs, reaffirmed roots reach. Spring's surge spotlighted shifts. The accelerator hummed, startups sprouting like ferns, apps for affinity groups, VR for virtual vigils, Jordan's mentorship a magnet, my designs the draw. But burnout brushed close. A pitch marathon left me hollow-eyed. Sophia's miss you. Daddy, a gut punch over dinner. Jordan noticed, instituting Sabbath Sundays. No screens, just park prowls and puzzle marathons. Her pieces fitting as our pauses. Summer's sabbatical sealed serenity. 2 weeks at a Hood Canal cabin. Larger than our first, stocked with kayaks and kites. Sophia's splashes synced with sunsets. Jordan's journals journaling joys unspoken. One eve, as stars pricked the ink-black bay, he unearthed a letter. His younger self scrawl, unearthed from storage. Pleas for permission to love freely. Reading aloud, voice veined with valor. He burned it in the fire pit, ashes adrift on tides. Past pardoned, he declared, my kiss consecrating closure. Fall's fanfare followed. Book tour blitz, coasts connected via signings and stories. Sophia's cameos charming crowds. Back home, accolades accrued, parenting awards, podcast peaks, but personal pulses prevailed. Sophia's school project on family trees, branched bold roots in Mexico. Branches in Massachusetts, leaves labeled us. Her crayon crowns crowning complexities. Yet autumn's amber hid hurdles. A custody query from Sophia's birth mom. Visitation tweaks amid her life's upheavals. Stirred seas. Meetings mediated in neutral cafes. Emotions ebbing like espresso, but trust teetered. Jordan's jaw clenched through calls. Mine softened by Sophia's pleas. All mamas matter. Resolution rippled. Expanded contact, holiday shares. A quilt of kin mended wider. Winter's whimsy warmed weights. Hanukkah gelt games gave way to cinnamon churros. Sophia's synth sinking carols in Spanglish. New Year's, neighborhood block party. Fireworks framing faces. Ours flushed with future's fire. Resolutions rooted. Resilience rituals. Monthly fault line forums with friends. Airing aches to alchemize. Spring's symphony sang success. Book bestseller bumps. Accelerator alums landing launches. Our home a haven humming. Sophia's ballet recital. Tutu twirls under spots. Jordan's discreet dabs at tears. My murmurs of magnificent. Post-show supper at Ivor's. Clams and confessions. Her shy I love our dances. Unlocking depths. One verdant eve, volunteer park conservatory. Orchids orbiting us. Jordan proposed a sequel. Tremble no more. Tales of tenacities. Sophia's yawn punctuated. But her nod nodded new narratives. As conservatory glass gleamed green, I pondered paths paved. From remote's recklessness to this rooted radiance. Love's ledger balancing blunders with blessings. Humanity's hymn in every held hand. Sophia's elementary ascent accelerated inquiries. Schoolyard sages schooling us on sovereignty. Why can't I have 2 last names? Her hybrid heritage hungered for harmony, prompting passport pursuits and family flags fused and felt. We navigated with novels, picture books on blended bonds, bedtimes blooming into brainstorms. Jordan's journal joined mine, dual diaries dissecting days, a duet of dads decoding daughterhood. Summer's scorcher spurred spontaneity. A Southwest sojourn, tracing my roots to Santa Fe's adobe arms, Sophia's awe at ancestral adobe, a bridge to her bio mom's Texan tales. Jordan's immersion in indigenous art markets, haggling with heart, her hand his haggling charm. Evenings under saguaro stars, stories swapped, His Harvard Hallows, my migrant marches. Sophia's sketches stitching souls. Falls Forge fired focus. Sequel scripting surged. Tremble no more. Tackling tenors of transition. Guest ghosts from our gallery of guides. Podcast pivoted to parents' panels. Sophia's soundbite stealing shows. Love's like glue. Sticky but strong. Laughs lit lines. Listener letters lauding lights in labyrinths. Winters we've warned of woes. Flu season felled us. Sophia's sniffles snowballing to my sinus siege. Jordan's juggle of juggernauts jarring. Quarantined coziness. Soup simmers and streaming. Surface strains. His helipad hovering over health hacks. My murmurs for mercy. Mending meant medicine, mutual massages, mandated naps, nurturing nests anew. Spring's spark signified strides. Sophia's science fair. Volcano vinegar vine eruptions earning ribbons. Our cheers chorusing champions. Work's wave waned wonderfully. Accelerator autonomy allowing absences. My mural commissions mounting. Community centers splashed with solidarity strokes. Jordan's sabbatical stint. Guest lecturing at UW. Wove wisdom without whips. Yet June's Jubilee Jared. Pride's parade pulsed proud, but a protest periphery. Countermarchers chanting closures. Clashed currents. Sophia shielded in stroller. Her questions quick. Why mad faces? We walked away, debriefing over ice cream, distilling darkness. Hate's just scared shadows. Light loves louder. Her hug healed, but headlines haunted. Rising rhetoric in red states rippling ripples. Resolution rallied resolve. We ramped advocacy. Donating book proceeds to legal leagues, Jordan joining boards battling bans. Sophia's school spearheaded a kindness codex. Her class crafting creeds combating cruelty. Home held havens. Harvest moons hiked in Issaquah, herding harvest hues, hearts harvested in harmony. Autumn's aura amplified arrivals. Sequel's soft launch, readings riveting rooms, Sophia's stage whispers winning whimsy. Family fusion fest, Thanksgiving tapestry, turkey's trust with tamales, tied threads tight, Jordan's folks fully folded, toasts to tolerances traversed. Winter's whisper willed wonders. Holiday lights labyrinth in Leavenworth. Sophia's sled somersaults silvering slopes. Jordan's jingle joins jollying junctures. New Year's nebula, rooftop revelry, resolutions resounding. Radical rest, relational reckonings. Spring's serenade sealed seasons. Sophia's sleepover. Giggles garrisoned against ghosts. Our guest room a gallery of growth. Book tour's tale, transatlantic teases, London lit, but loyalty locked us local. One orchard outing, apples aplenty Jordan's just juggled fruits. From one wrong toss to this orchard of ours, laughter lingered, Sophia's bite betwixt us, juice joy. As summer summoned, our saga shimmered, from handed havoc to held heavens, breathless births of being. Trembling transmuted to triumph, love's ledger ledgered. In every error embraced, humanity hums highest, hands entwined etching eternities.